Good morning, everybody. This is Bert. How are you guys doing? We're recording now. We're going to start this conversation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Some sexy voices out there, and it ain't mine. Okay, today we're going to discuss the chapter on autosuggestion. Has anybody made any interesting observations, comments, ahas, disappointments, and care to share them?
Well, for me, this is Nanette in New Jersey.
Awesome.
And for me, it's what really stood out is not waiting for the definite plan, because that's where I've kind of been stuck, because I'm in a huge transition. And while I have an idea of what it is I'd like to create, I'm not really sure of the plan. So that really just affirmed for me that I don't have to get stuck up on knowing the exact steps that I have to take. So that was a sigh of relief.
Yeah, you don't have to have the complete plan. You can have, like, if you had set a goal to become a millionaire in 5 years, just as an example, one of the goals could be like to open a savings account. One of the steps, something that simple. And even though you don't know, how you're going to get there yet, when somebody sets a goal to have a net worth of $5 million and you're young, you really don't know how to do that, but you understand basic things. You're going to probably need to have real estate. You're probably going to need to have credit, and you're probably going to need to save money. And that's where you go. You start there. And believe me, you will begin to draw to yourself the people if you need the people, the ideas if you need the ideas, and the money if you need the money. It's just, that's really the way it is. Anybody else make any interesting observations? Thank you very much, Annette, by the way.
Sure.
Hi, this is Andy. I had one interesting observation and one question kind of thing that came to mind last night. So the observation more is that at times I have a hard time getting myself to really dream big, and I notice I pull it back a bit and limit it, kind of the realistic thing. So I'm trying to move beyond that. But the question came in, I talk about in my definitive purpose statement, bringing in a certain amount of income, doing it through 3 streams, even without knowing all the hows of those 3 streams. But then it occurred to me that and in some other places, even when you're saying, I'm going to do it through this business and here's what I'm willing to do or what I'm willing to give to get it,
Right.
Are you closing off to other possibilities that you can't even see? Do you need one of those open-ended statements through these or any other opportunity I choose, or through, do you need a broader statement at the end like this or something better, or through this or other means that come to me? Good
question. To give you an idea, I own 3 fitness studio locations. I have physical products that I sell on Amazon. I sell supplements on Amazon. I sell physical exercise equipment on Amazon. I have eBay that I sell on. I have products I sell on Sears Merchant Services. I have 150 websites that I use as what's called feeder sites, that they basically direct people to my offers. And, of course, I have approximately 5 or 6 e-commerce sites. So what I do is, in my statement, is I just say my multiple business interests. Because if I were to outline, and then I also do affiliate marketing, I'm totally in the internet world. So I can't, if I were to say, I earn, $25,000, I am so grateful and happy now that I'm receiving $25,000 a month from, internet, it'll take an hour, So you can state multiple business interests. If you have one that's your primary income business, or the one that you're working on, you can mention that one, and then say, I have Beachbody coaches that say, just they don't care about what their job is. People in network marketing, they're not focusing on their regular paycheck. They just talk about what they want for their real business, which in their mind is their Beachbody business or their Genesis business or their New Skin business or whatever organization they're with. That help?
At one point, absolutely. The part where it gets to the action, what I have are 3 very different. There's not necessarily a strong common theme, so the action of what I'm willing to give differs. And I just, again,
Right.
don't know if that's getting limited.
Or can we ask people to mute their calls if they're not
yes.
talking?
Yes, sorry. I forgot to mention that. I forgot my rules. I did everything but the rules today, didn't I? Yes, please. In this portion, later on I'll mute everybody, but for right now, if you have any background noise, just mute it and let the speaker only speak. And
you press star 6, right?
star 6, yes. Star 6 will mute you, or the mute button on your phone, which is another fancy device. So I'm sorry, you were saying, Andy?
I was saying, at one level I understand, and it helps in terms of framing parts of it. Now, what I have are 3 very different focus or revenue streams. So when it comes to the action, or in these terms, what I'm willing to give, it's very different things. So I do specify it, and I'm comfortable with that. I still don't know if I'm closing off to other opportunities in doing that. That's where I get a little concerned.
No, you're not, because what you're focusing on, and I was having this conversation with somebody, and because some people have changed the order of things, and they're putting the money goal later on in the body of their DMPS. I mean, I get like 6 or 7 people sending me their DMPSs, so I'm trying to correct everybody's, but
Sure.
You got to follow the structure. There is a formula to this, and the formula needs to be followed as close as possible, certain parts of it. No, because what you're focusing on is the income. In my statement, it says $25,000 a month, and then later on it says a net worth of a net worth of $5 million. Now, what's going to happen is, as you repeat this every day, you're going to begin to memorize it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's happening.
Yeah, and what will start happening is you will begin to see the things you need, because you're constantly telling yourself you're going to earn this money. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm always surprised, and it's always a nice surprise when something new opens up or I make a new revelation. I just, this week I had an amazing revelation. I had a problem, and it had to do with a business that I run, and I just, wasn't focusing on it, but something popped up that's now a solution. And that's the way it works, because once you start becoming focused on what you really want, you will start, your imagination goes to work. It knows, your brain will know exactly what you want. There will be no misunderstanding. It's like if you have a trip to Florida, you know exactly what you need to do. And if you hit a detour on the way, you're going to find a way around it. And it's the same thing with this. You don't need to have the complete plan. In fact, Napoleon Hill says, you don't trust your faculty of reasoning, because right now it's not perfect. But act on intuition. So that's why, you probably heard me say that the DMPS is really a living document. And it really is. So what you want to do is don't worry so much about the plan. Just put in the biggest parts and pieces that you have, the things that are going to lead to the goal. So if, for example, are any of your businesses online?
Yes.
Okay. So some of the things that you might need to do for an online business is you might have to create a video on a weekly basis, or you may have to create a blog post, or you might need to send out an email blast to your list if you have that. There's a lot of tasks to be done with an online business. I do search engine optimization. There's a lot of tasks with that. But I don't get into the specifics of it. I deal with just the top 3 or 4 things that I know must be done to achieve the goal. And that is, I must drive massive traffic to my offers, okay, from all sources. And that's part of my statement. I drive, I'm always seeking quality and traffic to send massive traffic to my offers that will convert. So that will encompass a lot of that. If you're in a business where you're reaching out to people on a daily basis, then, like when I was in sales, my statement was, I contact 100 people per week, 100 people each week by phone. I schedule 15 appointments, and I close 5 sales. That's the end result that I needed. Now, in between that, there's other things that I need to do, but those were the 3 most vital. If I don't schedule appointments, if I don't go see the appointments, and I don't close the appointments, I make no income. So isolate what is the high payoff activity. The thing that if you don't do, you will not have money coming in. And for me in my business, if I don't send out an email blast every week to my list, I'm not going to generate income. If I don't put content up every week, people will not come back to my site. You follow where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I follow exactly where you're going.
Okay.
And I think I have some of that. I think where I was more concerned, and I think you addressed it a bit, was because I'm focusing on those activities, does it close off my ability to see other things? And I think you addressed
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, absolutely not. The money is the driving force. And the rewards, you know, because if you keep saying, you know, my statement says I enjoy driving my Mercedes-Benz SL class Roadster, and, you know, as you repeat that, you know, you're just going to start seeing more Mercedes, and you're going to start thinking of, you know, ways to lease it or finance it. And, you know, I keep asking myself every day, so how can I fit $1,200 a month into my budget so I can lease the damn thing already? You know, so that, you know, these things, and your DMPS will adapt, because you will start you will start seeing things better. Believe me, after you start repeating it for 2-3 weeks, a month, it'll change. You'll go back and you'll shorten it. You'll add in things, because this is really it's a self-development tool. But that's a great question, Andy. I hope it helped you, and I hope it helps other people. Anybody else have any questions before we start off? Go ahead.
Hi, it's Bonnie from Florida. And
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
In response to whoever that was, I didn't get her name. I'm sorry.
That was Andy.
But, hi, Andy. Yes, the DMPS is totally a living document, because I've been changing it almost daily. And I still am fine-tuning it. I think I got it to where I want it, but I'm sure I'm going to eventually change it again as your business changes and your priorities change and things like that. So I just wanted to mention that. But also, I wanted to share that I think that this chapter is one of the most important, if not the most important chapter, because I think that autosuggestion is vital in order to make this work, because it sounds as though you really need to train your subconscious and really influence it by repeating your DMPS every day, at least twice a day, more if possible. And the more times you do it, then the faster things are going to start shifting in your world. But that when you influence your subconscious, that's when things start appearing and you start noticing things around you, opportunities and people, and, you know, things that are going to bring your dreams to reality. And that's been happening for me, because since I've been reading this the last couple of weeks, at least twice a day, I've been seeing new opportunities, and things have been approached, like new opportunities have come along my path, and it's really exciting. So I really think that repeating this statement of what you foresee your life to be as though it's already here and present is really the real important piece of this whole puzzle to make sure that you really have to do in order for this to work. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Yeah, that's right. Very true. Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anybody else have any other questions before we begin on the topic itself? Must be one person out there that's holding their breath, saying, I don't want to ask this question. It's a stupid one. Go ahead. There are no stupid questions.
I do want to add something. This is Edwin from Germantown, Maryland, just outside D.C. I just wanted to. Good. I just wanted to add. I guess I had the same thought. Also, I wanted to say I feel like this is a very important chapter, because just talking about I guess one thing they covered in this chapter is using the emotion behind when you say your daily major purpose statement. And so, like, you know, if you say kind of like Tony Robbins says, you know, like you can kind of like repeat over, oh, I'm happy, but like do it in a weird voice. Like, you know, you're not gonna, your brain's gonna be like bullshit. You know, you're not happy. So kind of like that, was something that I feel that was important. Important takeaway from this chapter is just basically embodying it, feeling it, actually being happy in the moment, and, you know, you feeling as if it's already there, you know, versus kind of like, I don't know, let's say if like I'm out and maybe I don't want to say it too loud, maybe I don't say it with the emotion that I want to. So I guess it's kind of important to also think, like, you know what, I also have to embody my daily major purpose statement versus kind of just like reading it as a book, you know.
Right. Yeah, very good point, Edwin. You nailed it on the head. You know, in the video that I did, I said one thing. You know, if anybody tells you anything about goal setting or reading Think and Grow Rich, just ask them one question. Hey, what's your statement? And if they can't say it, they didn't read the book.
Right.
Because the key is not in setting the goal. That's just the beginning. The key is in the repetition, and that's, even though this is probably the shortest chapter, I mean, you could listen to this in 20 minutes. I think that's what the length of time was on the recording. But yet it's really the most power-packed. And in fact, at the end of the chapter, what does Napoleon Hill say? Read this every day until you understand the principle of autosuggestion. He doesn't make that suggestion for any other chapter other than this one. So in his own way, he's putting the seal of approval, so to speak, that this is the key. And in fact, in almost every chapter after this, the principle of autosuggestion is again mentioned. Look, what we believe is all subjective. You know, it's a matter of how, you know, two people can be at a party. One person sees a couple kissing each other, loving each other, and the other person is at the other end of the party and sees a couple fighting. They're going to walk away with two different perspectives, aren't they? But what is real? Was it a great party where people were loving and kind, or was it a shitty party and people were arguing? It depends on what you attach, what meaning you attach to that event. The event is neutral. It has no significance. If you're going through a tough time in life, understand that that event has no significance. It is neither neutral nor positive. It just is. Whatever it is what we attach to it. You know, somebody once asked me this question. They said, Bert, you're traveling on the way to an appointment. It's a great client. You know you're going to make a big sale. It's going to hit your bonus for the month, and you're going to achieve, you know, recognition in the company. And you have your expensive suit on. You're all ready to go. Your hair is nicely coiffured. And all of a sudden you get a flat tire. And now you have to take off your jacket, and you don't have your cell phone, and you have to change your tire. So is that a positive event or a negative event? Well, most people would say that's a negative event, right? Because now you got to get soaking wet. So now you somebody pulls over and asks you if you need help, and you say, yeah, could you call 911 and get a towing company here? And they call a tow truck, and the tow truck shows up. Now, for you, it's not a great event. But what is it for the tow truck driver? Is it a positive event that you got a flat tire, or a negative event? Positive, right? He's going to make money. So he's glad you broke down. You're not, but he is. So now he fixes the tire, and you are on the way to the road. And now you experience this because now you had to pay $100 because you don't have AAA or whatever. So now you're driving down the road, and you see a police officer stopping all the traffic. And he says, there was a major pileup. 5 people were killed in an accident. And you just realize at that moment that if you hadn't had that flat tire, that you would have been one of those 5 people. What happens now to the event? Positive or negative? Now, the event, again, had no emotion attached to it. It has no meaning other than what we give that event. So if you're experiencing a negative event, just understand that that event has no meaning other than what you attach to it. And the way you begin to change that attachment, because we're going to put a meaning on it, is we don't focus on it. And that's total NLP, what I just mentioned to you, but it's very true as well. So Edwin, very good point. Very good point. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have anything to contribute before we get started?
Hey, Bert, this is MP.
Hey, MP, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, wonderful. Hey, just real quick question on these, doing our mission statement like you were talking about. I mean, there's a lot of people doing them different ways, but my question to you is, do we want to make them, you know, to the point, short, not really into detail, or is detail really something that we want to have? I mean, I know we want to put dates on it, make it defined and all that as well. 3 minutes to say, or a minute and a half? I mean, what are you finding now? I know you've been going through a lot of different ones.
Well, there is a structure, and I made a PowerPoint presentation, and we're going to have a workshop on this again, because last time the recording didn't work and we had all kinds of major problems. So I posted a link on the Facebook page, by the way, and I would like to get as many people on. It's going to be 1.5 hours of training, and I'm trying to get a special guest speaker on. I'm trying to get Alan, who is the wizard behind all this, and he's the one that was personally trained by Napoleon Hill's partner, Alan Joseph Green. Him or his wife. Anyway, I'll get more into detail on that later. When you first start out, what you're going to find is that you're going to do, it's going to be like diarrhea. You're just going to put everything on the page. And so it's like writing a book. You're going to have your first draft, and then you're going to go back and you're going to clean it up, and you're going to have a second draft. There are certain parts of the definite major purpose statement that you must have included in there. One is when it says, I am, it is January 1st, 2016, and I, Bert Herna, am so happy and grateful. We want to invoke gratitude, because if we live in a state of gratitude, we're going to receive more. And most people are not grateful enough. We take things for granted. So let's be grateful. So that statement of the DMPS, that's written in gold. That's etched. You cannot change that. You can put whatever. I had one person, when they did their DMPS, they said, my name is Joseph something. The dancing doctor, he called himself. So if you want to give yourself a handle, I had this other woman recently, and she used to see herself as a super mom, and then she decided to start in business. And so her statement said, I am Molly, I forget what her last name was, I am Molly, let's say Perkins for the sake of just the name, Wonder Woman. So she changed it from super mom to Wonder Woman, because she needed to make an adjustment in who she was, and she felt that adding an identity to it just jazzed it up a little bit for her. So that's perfectly fine too. But you must invoke gratitude. Now, if you don't want to say you're happy, then don't be. But hey, look, being happy is not a bad thing. So that I definitely believe has to be in the statement. You must have what you're going to give in return for the income. And if you don't know exactly what it is, just pick 2 or 3 things that you feel right now are the ones that are going to get you there. And believe me, as you start affirming it every day, you'll find out what you really need to do, and you'll change it. And then finally, at the end, if you don't want to, thank you, God, for it is done, don't put the word now, okay? Because now implies that it hasn't been done before. If it's being done now, every time you read it, you're saying to yourself, now it is done, now it is done. It is done. If you don't want to use the Lord's name, that's fine. Just say thank you, for it is done. And the reason we want to do that is we want to communicate to the subconscious mind that this is happening. Okay, again, remember, the imagination cannot tell the difference between an imagined event and a real one. And even in this chapter, Napoleon talks about, spending a few minutes every day visualizing the goal, the benefits. You can do that, but what I found is that as I repeat the statement, when I say, I am driving my BMW or my old goal, my Mercedes-Benz, as I say that, I am envisioning myself driving down a beautiful highway near the beach with the sea spray, and my hair, the few particles that are left blowing in the wind. I might have to put the top up just so the few particles don't go away. So you will begin, as you say the statement, as you begin to memorize it, you will be able to envision what you're doing. And if you can spend a few moments every day just closing your eyes and thinking about it as being done, yeah, that also helps. Visualization is also very powerful. Great question, DMP. All right. Let me start just going over what we discussed. And, of course, the topic for today is autosuggestion. And autosuggestion has been given a great number. I'm going to mute everybody, by the way, just so we don't get any background noise. If you do have something to say and need to unmute yourself, you can press *6 and when I ask you to, and that way everybody will be able to hear you, but we won't get any of the background noise. So Autosuggestion is just another name for words like affirmations, incantation, self-suggestion. And even hypnosis is a form of suggestion. In fact, parts of NLP were modeled after the famous psychiatrist, psychologist, and family therapist, Milton Erickson, who specialized in the medical use of hypnosis in family therapy. Essentially, all autosuggestion is any thought, either negative or positive, that with the aid of repetition enters the subconscious mind. Now, Napoleon Hill was not the first one to coin that phrase. Many philosophers through history, and I've been posting a few like Gandhi, Marcus Aurelius, and many others. Shakespeare and Julius Caesar said, "The fault, dear Brutus, does not lie within the stars, but within ourselves." Does not lie in the stars, but within ourselves. The Buddha said the same thing. I mean, throughout the ages, many philosophers, statesmen, poets have recognized the fact that the one dominion that we have absolute control over is our mind. And that whatever we focus on, whatever we hold in our thoughts over and over again, that's what will actualize. Now, Alan, my mentor, told me once that what happens is most people spend, there's 24 hours in a day. They spend 23 hours of that day saying to themselves they can't do it, and then they spend 10 minutes twice a day saying their DMPS, that they can, and then they wonder why they don't get results. So you have to begin to censor the negative thoughts, and it's in all of us. When that negative thought pops up, censor it immediately. And all it takes to censor it is there's 3 ways to change your state, right? If you went to an Anthony Robbins or you studied NLP, there's 3 ways to change your state. The most powerful and immediate is change your physiology. Change what you're doing. Go for a run. Jump up and down. Pound your chest. Do something physical. That will immediately change your physiology. The second way is to change your focus. What can you do to change your focus? Carry your DMPS. Take it out. Read it silently. If you're really negative, go to the bathroom and shout it out. The more passion you can incorporate, the more energy you can incorporate, the more it'll wipe away the negative. And third, ask yourself a better question. So, I have a problem. What's good about it? I don't want to do this task. How can I do this task and enjoy the process? That's one of Tony Robbins' famous questions. So we have to begin to control the most important faculty that we have, and that is our minds. And as Napoleon Hill goes on, he says, that is that every man or woman has absolute control over one thing, and that is the thoughts and ideas that reach his or her subconscious mind. And it is up to us to control or censor those thoughts or ideas. Now, it's in the chapter, in this particular chapter, that Napoleon Hill states that the most important fact regarding the use of affirmation or autosuggestion is that the repetition of the thought will not be recognized and acted upon by the subconscious mind unless it has been mixed with emotion or feeling. I believe that's the point that Edwin brought to mind. And that's why you have heard me state that you must read your definite major purpose out loud with as much excitement, passion, and enthusiasm as you can muster every time. The more emotion that you can generate while reading your definite major purpose statement, the faster it will penetrate your subconscious mind, and consequently, the faster you'll achieve your goal. That is the most powerful thing that you can remember from this chapter. And that is that the more emotion, believe me, Tony Robbins says, there are no weeds, there are no weeds. It's not going to make it happen. And I believe that too, because that's a negative affirmation. But if you go out into your lawn and say, my lawn is green, I love it, and I constantly prune, weed, or whatever the hell people do, my affirmation says I get a gardener. But if that's what you want, if you affirm what you want, and you say it out loud with passion, it will actualize. And one of the keys, if you haven't yet started reading the self-confidence formula, I encourage everybody to do it. And what you want to do is, look, it's going to take you maybe a whole 10 minutes to read your DMPS and your self-confidence formula. Okay? You can read it in the shower. You can read it while you're in the bathroom pooping. You can do it anywhere. You can run out to your car for 5 or 10 minutes, instead of taking a coffee break, do your DMPS. Reading both will start to make changes in you. And in the self-confidence formula, it's right in the second line. It says, second, I know that the dominating thoughts on my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. What is he saying there? Yeah, whatever I constantly think about will eventually reproduce themselves into action. So if I keep saying that I have, like I've seen the DMPS that I was working on, if it says I invite 10 people every day into my business, even if I'm only doing 3 right now, if I keep saying that every day, I'm going to find that I'm not congruous. I'm not in congruity with that. And so what will happen is I will begin to step up into that and start contacting 10 people. The third line is, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any thought or desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. What is he saying there? Same thing, that whatever I constantly repeat to myself, my definite major purpose statement, will eventually seek expression. I love his language. It's, you can definitely tell this was 1939 and they spoke more eloquently than we do today. But it will seek expression. In other words, whatever we constantly focus on, whatever we constantly repeat, will eventually come about. And whatever the actual object is, it will become real. So if the goal is to make $25,000 a month to have a net worth of $5 million, if we affirm that every day, even though we may not have a complete plan at the moment when we create the goal, things will begin to happen. We will begin to attract it. And this leads to a good point. Why do we begin to attract the people if we need the people, the money if we need the money, or the ideas if we need the ideas? I'm going to unmute everybody because I'd like to get some feedback on that. I'd like to know what you guys think is the reason why. How do I unmute? Okay, start.
Hi, this is Andy. Can I ask another question more than feedback? Hello?
Well, I hear you. I don't
Anybody there?
Andy's here.
Okay.
Yes.
I can hear you.
We just can't hear Bert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if he hears us.
Probably. He's probably trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I guess I muted myself. Okay, technology is something I have to put into my DMPS. Right? So the question was, sure, go ahead. Can you hear me
I
now?
was saying, yes, Bert, this is Andy. I was saying I had more of a question on what you were saying than feedback. And it comes down to how we express intensity, because very often we, and I am very into you have to be moving your physiology and you have to feel it in your body, so that's not quite where I'm going. But very often we equate intensity with being loud or screaming it, and I truly believe you can be equally intense without the high volume or without doing certain things. And again, in your example, you go into the bathroom, you can't always shout it, you can't do certain things.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. In the chapter on faith, Napoleon Hill says that the ability to be able to say the statement in a state or an attitude of faith is something that has to be developed. Now, faith is just another word for belief. So what he's saying is you have to say the statement in a state of belief. And the problem is when you first begin to say the statement, you're not in belief. Do you follow me?
I follow you there. What I'm not necessarily following, and I do understand when there's a way of reading it mechanically that doesn't have belief, or meaning a way of reading it where you have doubt still there, versus a way of reading it that has belief, that has intensity. What I'm questioning is, does it have to have, or does intensity have and belief have to equal loud and screaming?
Well, if you're loud, in order to create loudness the way we're doing it, you must be able to create excitement and enthusiasm. And those are two powerful emotions. One of the things I learned long ago is that the most important thing that a salesman can bring to an interview with a client is enthusiasm. Okay, enthusiasm, enthusiasm sells is a tape that I listen to over and over again. Enthusiasm is basically conveying to the customer that you so believe in the product, or to the individual that you so believe in the product that you are super excited about it. And if you've ever met somebody who's really excited about something and passionate about it, you can tell immediately what state they're in. So, but if you can channel faith, if you can believe in the statement so much without shouting it, then do it. But I challenge you, do it with as much excitement in your voice, elevate your voice as much as you can for 30 days, and believe me, it will start to change the way you read the statement. When I listen, sure, go ahead.
This is Shelley. It just dawned on me when she was talking about, the excitement and belief. We just threw my daughter a 21st birthday party, and we were all saying happy birthday to her. We were not saying it quietly and calmly, and we were giving, happy birthday, I hope your life is great, excitement, enthusiasm. That's exactly the way I am reading this thing, because I believe it, and I want it to be that entrained in my mind. So I get so excited when I read it, but I don't even have to think, do I yell it, do I scream it? It just comes from the depths of my soul.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. It's not about shouting it as it is just generating that excitement in you. And that's a great example, a birthday party. Imagine going to a birthday party and everybody's like, happy birthday.
Exactly. Nobody would believe that if I just said, oh,
You think you're at a funeral.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
And
that
so,
same
yeah.
intensity.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
Karen.
absolutely. Yeah,
This
you
is
nailed it
Karen.
on the head. Sure, Karen.
This is Karen. I heard something differently, and what I heard in the question, I heard, isn't it okay to say it silently, go in the bathroom and read it silently, and scream it in your head without saying it out loud? As long as you get that emotion, you can imagine yourself screaming it while you're reading it. Can I add to that?
I would caution that, and I'll tell you why. I have read affirmations silently to myself for years and did not get the results. And it wasn't until I came upon a silly little technique that I would put it on audio, put it in my car, and then I found myself, as I heard myself reading it out loud, I found myself mimicking it and saying it. And that's when I started to make changes. And that was way when I was a young guy, before I ran into Alan and all his stuff. And I went back and I read the book, and then Anthony Robbins reinforced it again. He said, look, you can't, go running on the beach and scream your affirmation, your incantation. And Napoleon says it in the book. It must be done out loud. If you're not willing to say it out loud, what is that really saying? Think about it. If you're not willing to say it out loud, what is it really saying? It's like,
I am saying it. I am saying it out loud a number of times a day, as well as the self-confidence formula. But sometimes at work, I want to pull it out.
No, I understand. No, I do that too. What I did is, because there are times I like to take a morning walk and an evening walk, and I walk to the gym. I try to walk as much as possible. I recorded myself saying it out loud in the same state that I do it every day. And I play that back when I go work out or when I take walks. And many times I'll find myself mimicking it. But at work, you can't do it. It's fine to read it. Remember, this is about repetitions. The key is you must have at least 2 times a day where you say it out loud. And then if you want to look at it at work, that's great. Because what you'll find, and if you have been doing it, you'll probably agree, is that the voice in your head is the same voice that's been reading it out loud. Have you found that to be true about you?
Yes, I certainly have. I certainly have. But you said something that was great. I do obviously have mine recorded because I put that video on. Bring headphones to work and listen to your own recording with headphones when you have to be quiet.
Yeah. I started doing that this week. I haven't been doing that in a long time, but I found that I had recorded it because I was going to play it for people, And then I put the recording on my iPhone, and I'm going through it. I'm looking for music, and there wasn't any. And I had one that says DMPS, and I said, oh, let me play that and see what it sounds like, because I hadn't listened to it. And boom, I'm like, whoa, hey, this is good. I just got in like.
Hey, Bert. Hey, Bert, this is MP. I was actually listening to a lot of these CDs from Tony Robbins, and I was doing the same exercise because, it says, pull over, write these things down now before you forget about them. Driving from Dallas to Lubbock is a 5.5-hour drive, and if I'd pull over every single time, it'd probably take me 12 hours to get home. And so what I did is I just went ahead and recorded on the phone what Tony was saying and then made it real. What's good? What did you do 5 years ago? And started relaying that. But to really brand it in my brain and my self-conscious mind, what I'll say, this is your self-conscious mind, MP. I'm talking to you. You've got greatness inside you. You're awesome. And, just really branding that, because sometimes when we're not in that state, or we don't want to be in that state, or you're talking about that flat tire or whatever it may be, that time you may not have that state, but at the same time you go back and you have it in your recording on your phone and put them earbuds in your ear and hear the energy, and especially there's something in that when you say it, hey, MP, I'm talking to you. This is your subconscious mind. It talks to you in a different way, in a different form. It gives you, it gives you a thrill through your body, like, wow, that's me right there. You know what I'm saying? So just a suggestion that worked for me might work for somebody else.
Awesome suggestion.
Hi, this is Anna. I just wanted to add something to what Andy was saying. And Bert, I haven't sent you my DMPS. I'm on version 4 of it, but I realize now why. I wasn't mapping out certain things, so I wasn't seeing it to fruition. So I will definitely send it. But one thing that I did recently was I did a gratitude exercise, and I anchored it with music. So I played this very epic music theme, and as I was doing the exercise, I was playing the music in the background, and it just took me to a new level. Now every time that I hear that song, it reminds me of all those gratitude things that I listed and what I'm grateful for. So maybe when you're doing your DMPS, also if you can anchor it with some song or something, a theme that kind of puts you up and charges you, you got to anchor it. You got to have a feeling, something that it just reminds you of why you're doing this. Well, what is that vision? So I just wanted to kind of add that.
Yeah, great suggestion, anchoring. Absolutely. I used to repeat mine in the car on the way to appointments, listening to the Rocky theme, Eye of the Tiger, and the theme song from the beginning. Even though it's dated, it has that inspirational feel to it. The other thing that I found is as I was listening to my own recording, and I do this unconsciously, is at certain points I was emphasizing certain words, and I heard myself pounding my chest. Again, I'm trying to create as many anchors, and I want to anchor it into my body. I don't know if Tony, I haven't been to a seminar in a little bit, so I don't know if he still teaches how to anchor in things. But when you're making your yes move, what you're doing is you're just creating an anchor. So, yeah, music is very powerful for anchoring. It doesn't always lend itself to it, but if you have the opportunity to do it in your car or at home and you can add some inspirational music, something that really vitalizes you, like a workout, workout music is awesome. So, yeah, great suggestion. Appreciate that. Anybody else before we continue?
Can I chime in here for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so a major issue I have is, for example, I've been to 3 Anthony Robbins events, and upon return, even though I'm feeling great, the person I share this home with, my DWD example, for example, when I got back, he would chant back to reality, back to reality. So I don't know why I'm getting an echo. But, and the worse I feel about me, the better he feels about himself. And I take responsibility for allowing that to happen over the years. I went into an emotional coma.
Right.
So I suppose it's a self-confidence issue. And for me to do these things out loud, I feel so ridiculous and that I am not worthy.
Yeah.
I feel like he is going to hear me and make fun of me and just put me down.
Yeah, sure.
So any feedback, please?
Sure. Before I say anything, anybody else want to add to her answer her question for her? Did everybody hear?
All you need is within you, and you need to start telling yourself that all you need is within you. You can do this, and it comes within. Just wanted to say that.
I met.
And I
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I would say that most everybody has a little bit of that, some people more than others, but I'm right with you in the having to fight past that, feeling unworthy, maybe for specific reasons more than just in general, but everybody has to get past that. And then, Bert, go for it. Go for it.
First, add I am worthy and deserving into your DMPS. It's in mine. I am a worthy, deserving man of action. It's my statement.
Okay.
Not because that's one of the things, Somebody asked me recently, why did you change the statement? Why is it so different than Napoleon Hill, what he wrote? And I said, well, simply because we now know how the brain kind of works better, don't we? We know that it doesn't know the difference between imagined event and unreal events. And also, just stating the statement of what we want to earn is not enough. We still have to deal with the attitudes and limiting beliefs that we have. So instead of having a statement of our goal, and then a statement of all our incantations and affirmations, and then a statement of our vision, why not just combine everything into one? It doesn't need to be 9 pages. It can be 3/4 of a page or 1 page. How long will it take to read that? I have a friend of mine that goes through a ritual where he, if you've been to Date with Destiny, you have all the things that you will no longer stand for, and then you have all the things that you're going to be standing for, and then you have a 2-page visual a vision statement, and then you have a mission statement. God, it takes him a half hour to go through it. I do mine in 5-10 minutes. I'm done.
Right.
No difference in results because, mine is memorized just about. I'm like halfway through it because I've made changes, but the beginning part has not changed much, so I have that almost completely memorized now. And every time you make revisions, you kind of have to memorize that new change. To answer your question, when I'm walking down the street to the gym and I'm listening to my DMPS and I'm saying the words that I'm passing by people, this guy was like next to me, and I didn't recognize it because I had my headphones on, my earphones on. And so he turns to me as he's passing me, and he goes, "Are you practicing for a play?" Because you heard me saying, I am a worthy, deserving man of action that easily and effortlessly accomplishes my daily tasks, which include. And he goes, "Are you practicing for a play?" And I said, "Yes, my life." It is a play. My life is a play. So I'm practicing for my life. Absolutely. Hey, listen, I met this couple years ago, and, we were in a meeting, we were talking about our DMPS as part of the sales process. And, the speaker was out, and he was saying, you want to say it in your car while you're waiting at the light, have it on your dashboard, put it on your visor. Anytime you have a chance to say it, say it. Remember, this isn't like exercise. The more repetitions, the faster the muscle grows. Think of habit as a muscle. Think of your subconscious mind as a muscle. You must rework it. You need the repetitions. And he said, "So say it in your car." And this couple stood up and said, "We can't do that." And Alan says, "Why not?" He says, "We have a motorcycle." But we say it on the motorcycle. So this couple would get on their little moped, I guess it was. They live in Columbia. It's not like a Harley Davidson. And they would both read I don't know how she the driver did, but she told me she had hers laminated, and she would tape it on the back of her husband's motorcycle jacket, and she would read hers as they rode to work. I don't know how he read his and still drove. I guess maybe they alternated. But I thought that was hilarious. And she said, everybody that, and it's not like busy highways. These are small little streets in Bogota. And she said, everybody in the town knows we're nuts. But what we're doing is we're now attracting other people that are crazy like us. And so actually, the reason she was at the meeting is she had just developed the fastest growing territory in 90 days, 3 months, of anybody else. And, she said that's because people heard us and they want to know what the hell we were doing. So don't worry about what other people think. And if at first you feel shy, go into the basement. I did. I would go into the basement and do it, or go to the garage, or go outside. Now I just take a walk over to the this lit parking lot, and I scream and yell it. The other day I saw a cop there. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to get arrested for doing my DPS. I'm like, what am I going to tell the cop? It is January 1st, 2016, and the guy's going to go, okay, Yeah.
So funny.
I swear to God, it's a true story. I'm looking and I'm like, oh shit. I'm thinking about for disturbing the peace. They're going to hit me with careless walking or reckless walking. I'm going to get like 9 tickets. So anyway, don't worry too much about what he thinks. It's not really about him. It's about you. And you know what? If you include a statement in there about what you want to happen in the relationship, and it's on the positive side, and he hears that, it might start to affect him. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to use the DMPS to attract somebody into your life, or if you already have somebody, how to reinforce and develop a more loving, romantic, caring relationship, and using the same tool, because this can be used for anything. So we're going to talk about that, not on this call, but in one that you'll find out about in a minute. Anyway.
Bert, if I can add something.
Say that again?
If you don't mind, if I can add something to that, something that has always worked for me when a negative, dominating thought like that comes into my mind. You can do this. If you're in a position where you can't do it, or maybe you start feeling that doubt, just speak. The statement that Bert's talking about in your mind until you can get to the location, because sometimes that dominating thought can talk you out of doing things. And if if you don't have access to the basement, or if you don't have access to run out and go somewhere and do it, just start speaking in your head to keep you focused on that, because that feeling, that unworthy feeling, and that being around a negative person like that can really sap you of your energy. So hopefully that can help you stay focused and keep you motivated. Because the more you do it, the more you're going to believe. So don't worry about not believing in the disbelief.
Exactly.
Thank you all
very
so
good.
much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Very,
That deserves
very
an applause. Everybody give a woohoo for that one. That was awesome. Go ahead. Woo! Woo! Come on, we got more energy than that.
You go, Diamond.
Goals will happen if you woohoo. Woo! Woohoo! That's exactly right. Alan said once that if you're experiencing any negatives, that's when you have to go and do the statement with more passion, more energy, and more excitement and enthusiasm than you've ever generated before. The more negative you're experiencing, the worse the state is, the more you have to turn up the passion button. And yeah, that means going somewhere. Go to a park, find the spot that you would normally take your date to make out in, and that's the spot where you say it if you feel uncomfortable. And if you can't do it at the moment, change your focus. Read the statement silently. Carry a copy with you. Keep it with you. Focus on it. But then as soon as you have a chance to say it, if you're in a corporate environment and you're not working in a big city, you're working more in a suburb, you can say, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom, and then just go outside and do it. I have somebody that I know that goes outside, and their office is right near a beautiful beach, and they go outside and they scream it to the oceans. And I said, wow, that's like saying your DMPS and like a message in a bottle, right? You shout it into the ocean, into the universe, as it were, and it's like a message in the bottle, and guess what? You're going to get something back. So just think of that idea, of every time that you say it out loud, if you're sending it out there, you don't know who's hearing it. It's like a radio wave, right? We don't hear them. We can't see them, but they're there. We know that, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with television signals. We can't see them, but we know they're there.
Exactly.
So think of your DMPS and shouting it out with excitement and enthusiasm and just sending it out to the universe. You don't know what you'll attract. And believe me, that's not hocus pocus. And the reason we attract the people that we need and the money we need is because we become congruent. And then we begin to see opportunity where it normally isn't. Because if you've gone to more than once, gone to UPW more than once, the second time you go, you see something completely different than the first time you did. If you crew the event, you see something completely different than the first time you did. If you read a book the second time, you will see something completely different than what you did. Why? Because you're in a different state of mind. My Think and Grow Rich is dog-eared, from so many times reading. And this is not my first copy. This is probably my 10th or 15th copy. But each time that I read it, I get something new out of it. Why? I'm in a different place. Different requirements, different needs. So let me go back and just finish the notes here. We're taking, I hope you don't mind that we're going a little late. Now, so to answer your question, In this chapter, Napoleon Hill states that the most important fact regarding the use of affirmation or autosuggestion is that the repetition will not be recognized and acted upon the subconscious mind unless it has been mixed with emotion or feeling. And that's why, as I mentioned, you've heard me say to use as much, to say it out loud, to use as much excitement, passion, enthusiasm as you can muster each time. The more emotion you can generate while reading your definite major purpose statement, the faster it will penetrate your subconscious mind, and consequently the faster you will achieve your goal. Napoleon Hill goes further on this topic and states that plain unemotional words will not influence the subconscious mind. He also goes further and indicates that we should not become discouraged if initially we cannot direct our emotions, if we can't control them. The price for being able to control your emotions, to be able to really send it to our subconscious mind, is once we have built up belief. And the process for building belief is autosuggestion. Once you know, you're not going to accomplish anything unless you believe you can accomplish it. As you begin to repeat this statement, you will begin to believe it. Now, Alan once said that for most people, for many people that would join the company, they would take off immediately. You know, they'd read the DMPS and boom, they were successful. And, you know, and Paul Myers say that there's two types of people, those with short fuses and those with long fuses. And some people just grab this statement and boom, they just run. That was the catalyst, the camel that made the camel's back. So if you find that that's not you initially, don't worry about it. As you repeat the statement, remember, the price we pay for the ability to achieve our goal is persistence in the use of repetition. Okay, that's the only thing you need to do, is don't worry if you're not getting the results. Don't worry if you don't believe it. Don't worry if other people don't like it. Don't worry if I don't like it, as long as you like it and you begin to believe it. Of course, you must include certain parts in the statement, and we'll go over those in more detail. And finally, Napoleon Hill talks about concentration. He gives us, this is what I call another piece of the puzzle, as it were. He talks about that we must actually concentrate on seeing in our mind's eye the rewards, or in this case, the money that you wish to earn. In our case with the DMP, we want to visualize as rewards, and that's why I have stressed to write down 2 or 3 rewards. And make sure, I see some people constantly putting in rewards for others. You want to have 3 or 4 rewards for yourself, and 3 or 4 rewards for other, or contribution. But if you find that in reading your statement, there's nothing like, I'm going to get a new car, I'm going to get a maid, I'm going to, whatever it is that you want as a result of earning this money. If you're making $25,000 a month in income, you can afford a maid, you can afford a new car. Why isn't that in there? You have to find that, and because it's usually because you don't feel worthy enough, or you're more of a dolphin, right? The dolphin personality just gives, but the dolphin personality has a problem with accepting. And it's okay for a dolphin personality to be a martyr. They don't mind giving even if they lose, even if it hurts them. They will give even if it hurts them. So if that's your personality, if you find that if you've got a feeling that you're not worthy enough, make sure you put that in a statement. I'm a worthy, deserving person, whatever the terminology you want to use. And concentration, what he says is about visualizing what the rewards are. So in the definite major purpose statement, I have a statement that says, I am, as a result of my concentrated energy and steadfast determination, I am now experiencing the pleasure of driving my brand new Mercedes-Benz SL Class Roadster convertible. Now, as I say that, as I mentioned earlier, I envision myself driving down a highway near the beach with the wind blowing in my hair, listening to my favorite song. Okay. The other thing I wanted to discuss today is how will you accomplish your goal? In order to accomplish the goal, we must develop what Alan and Napoleon Hill says is a white heat burning desire. It's a desire that it consumes you, it obsesses you, it's the only thing you want. And again, the only thing that I can relate to in my mind as to what that would be like when you fall in love. It's that obsessive, overpowering feeling of wanting to be with that person. And that's what you have to develop with your definite major purpose statement. And that's easy to do, really. It's all about repetition. Remember, Autosuggestion is nothing new. All religious groups have used repetition as a means of indoctrinating, programming, brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, modifying minds for centuries, right? I mean, as little children, you were taken to church, synagogue, or whatever other, the Buddhist temple, and you were indoctrinated in this by constant repetition of thought, constant repetition. Television advertisers do the same thing to us, don't they? How do you spell relief? Buy a Ford Mustang. It's a car, but it's really a horse. Crest, it's not the ocean, it's a toothpaste. They change the meaning. They can actually, through repetition, change the meaning of words. Think about how powerful that is, that through repetition, they can change the meaning of a word. And one of my friends, many of my friends are gay, but I had a conversation with one time, and I said, whoever crafted the whole idea of taking the element of, what was always a negative terminology about people that are gay, and turning it from, homosexual and all the dirty words that were used very often by men and women sometimes, mostly men, and turning it into the word gay, that was instrumental in changing the picture that we have and making sure that that social class was able to rise. It was elemental. It was critical because it changed the way you thought about it, because that one word changed. So think about that for yourself. This process is about changing the way you think. And if you don't feel worthy, keep saying you're worthy. If you don't believe in your goal, keep repeating the goal. It will change you. The other thing I wanted to mention was that you can also use what I call a forward statement or a forward-looking statement. And essentially what I mean by that is at the end of your DMPS, you can add a statement that will give you an idea of what your future will be like. Because sometimes, the income, the goal that we have, the rewards are not clear, but we know that in 2 or 3 years we want to, do a 1-month vacation in Hawaii, or we want to, Alan, his forward-looking statement is, I'm envisioning, planning and organizing for my plan to become the next governor of the state of Hawaii. That's part of his future vision. Now, he started saying that in 2008. He put it in his DMPS. Now, needless to say, he is not the governor of Hawaii right now. But last year, he broke over $5 million in earnings. So that's okay. Because his statement for his DMPS was that he was earning $300,000 a month in residual income, which is $3.6 million. He's earning $5 million now. So it's, you can put it in there. It doesn't mean that you're going to take action on it. And I'm sure that somewhere he has it that when he's because the statement says, I am envisioning, planning, and organizing for my role as the next governor for the state of Hawaii. So if you keep saying that you're envisioning, planning, and organizing, guess what you're going to start to do? You're going to envision, you're going to plan, and you're going to organize. So add that in there, just a small paragraph, just something that you want in the future that doesn't have anything to do with the one-year goal, but something that looking forward, you want to have happen. So just bear that in mind, and go back to the image that I created out of the PowerPoint that shows you that that's step number 6. And then, as I mentioned, the last step of the DMPS is make sure that you say it is done. If you want to invoke a higher power, great. That will communicate to the universe that you don't expect to have to do it all yourself. If you don't believe in higher powers, that's great too. Just say it is done. Communicate that to your subconscious mind. What I'm going to do is I already had a training course, but I wasn't able to record it and we ran into a lot of snafus. So what I decided to do is I'm going to do the training course again. It's going to be an hour and a half of video training where I will share my desktop and take you through the exact process, step by step, on how to create the definite major purpose statement. We're going to discuss how to incorporate relationships, either attracting or maintaining, into the statement. And if you're out of a relationship now, how to feel good about that. You know, if you're either going through a divorce or you broke up with somebody, how to feel good about that. And we can incorporate that into the statement. It doesn't have to be long. We're not going to make it a 2-page statement. It's still going to be within half a page, 3/4 of a page, 1 page at the most. And I'm also going to include recordings from stuff that Alan had done, that I've been digging through my hard drives and all my old external drives trying to find this stuff. And I've been able to put together a lot of stuff. So it's going to be 1 hour and a half. I haven't decided on the date, but one of the things that we need for this group to go further is I need to be able to do more video training and more videos instead of audios like we're doing now. So what I'm going to be charging for this, and I'm only going to charge $10 for everybody that participates, and that money is going to be used to purchase a subscription to Zoom, because Zoom is not cheap. It's $50 a month. And I'm going to use that. I will donate my time, and if everybody donates a few dollars, it won't affect anybody severely. I put up a link on the website. You can go to PayPal. If you have a PayPal account, you can pay it with PayPal. You can use your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. I've been giving so much, but I felt that, hey, you know, my time is valuable too. I'm charging $5 an hour. So, you know, the restaurant workers do better than me. But I will do that in order to help everybody, because I have been getting so many people sending me their statements, and I wish I could handle everybody's, but there's only so many hours in a day, and some people are just so way off track with what they're giving me that I would have to spend 2 hours just to get into a context that I understand in order to give them. Because some people, you know, they give me their first draft, you know, and it's like all over the place, you know. Everything they wanted in their life is in this, you know, 1-page or 2-page document. And, you know, it takes me way too long to do that. So if you guys would think about the benefit to the group and the benefit to yourself, then I encourage you to jump on the call. I'll make sure that even if you can't be on the call, everybody will receive a recording of it. So you'll be able to see the desktop. You'll be able to see exactly all the material. You'll be able to listen to it. So it'll be great for training or repeating to yourself. And again, it will help the group grow because we'll be able to use video going forward on all the other stuff. And there's more exciting chapters coming up. The transmutation chapter, the brain, the organization chapter, the mastermind, which is really very powerful. That was like one of the key things that Napoleon Hill talked about. And the mastermind is the way to really create the plan. And we'll go into that in more detail. So for now, don't worry so much about the plan. The mastermind will handle creating the plan, and so will the chapter on organized planning. So again,
when is that call, Bert? When is that call? I already paid the $10, but when is that call?
I'm going to. Last time I held it during a weekday, and I think we had like 50 or 60 participants. So it seems like either a Wednesday or a Thursday evening around 7:30 was the best time.
Okay.
You know, Eastern Daylight Time. And what I'll do is I'll do a quick poll once I get the people sign up, and we'll make it work for everybody, even if I have to split it up, which I'm trying to avoid. But we'll try to make it work so that everybody can attend. But even if you can't, you know, and again, because it is Zoom, you'll be able to attend on your smartphone. You can see, you can actually. Yes, hi. Could you just mute yourself? Thank you. You can also, you know, download the Zoom application. Hi, could you? Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
Mute everybody.
Yeah, I am.
No.
So what I'm going to do is, it's going to be recorded. So even if you can't make it, but as I was saying, you can use the Zoom app on your iPhone or any kind of smartphone that have both versions available, Android and Apple iOS. You can download it to your tablet or iPad. You can call in as well, and then you'll be able to at least participate that way if you don't want to download the app and do a visual. But in any case, everybody that participates, and only the people that participate, will be getting a recorded copy of this, edited, and with additional footnotes. And I might even get it transcribed for you guys if enough people participate. So you'll have not only a version that you can, I will give you an MP4, and I will give you an MP3. So you will not only be able to watch it again, but you'll be also able to play it again in your car as you're driving, as you're working out. And if enough people participate, I will get it transcribed so that you'll have a PDF format of the entire call. And I believe that this is the best way to grow the group. And again, I try to price it as cheaply as I could, but I'm only anticipating a certain number of people. I'm anticipating, last time we had 50, but for free. So this time I'm anticipating somewhere around 25 or 30. I hope you guys blow me away by the number of people that join, because, you know, the membership for it is $600 a year if you do the math. So I'm trying to cover it for a year, but as much as we can generate to do this, my time is free. And part of this is I will also, if you go to the page itself, I will add additional bonuses in there to make it worth your while. Believe me, when you walk away with this, you will have all aspects of the DMPS hammered. You will have the most powerful statement. And now that you understand the principle of autosuggestion, you will know exactly what you need to do on a daily basis. So this is just to take you to the next level, because I can't do this on a one-on-one basis. It's just too time-consuming. And so if I do a group training and just break down each step on how to do it and why, I think that'll get everybody to the point where they want to be. And then this way, moving forward, by next week, everybody on the group that's participating will be able to do their DMPS. Does that make sense? I'm going to unmute everybody if I remember how to do it. Okay, so
Bert,
is everybody still on the call, or did I lose anybody?
Bert, I actually sent you a post this morning before the call, and your participation with you is certainly far more valuable than $10.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So. I keep billing people for more.
Agreed. Excellent.
This is phenomenal.
Really.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you should charge $20 to go ahead and help them with the definite plan. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know, to help them to get it done. I mean, your time is valuable. I mean, that's a lot of time you take it away from your goals.
Well, this is what this is all about for me, is paying it forward. That's one of the commitments that Alan made everybody do, is to pay it forward. To take these principles, don't let them die, pay it forward. So I'm just paying back. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's done.
Hello?
Bert, I don't know if I didn't get to read it yet. I saw the link, but I didn't get to read it yet. But I don't know if you have on there the prices of $10. But if you can add on there $10, or if you'd want to donate, if you feel like you want to donate more, then that's fine. That way you can knock out that $600. You don't have to think about it. I think people will be more than willing to donate more.
Okay, great suggestion. I'll make that change. Or donate more. Okay, I can do that. Okay, before we go, because we're running a little bit over time, and I'm okay with that. I block out 2 hours for this every day anyway. Anybody else have any questions, problems, things that they want to bring up that we can help you while we have you on the call?
Hey, Bert. Yeah, it's Martin here. Listen, great job again. Sorry, I'm running. So I just want to say a couple of things. One is, remember you did that slideshow where you were showing us from your computer, and you had a whole bunch of pages on how to do the MPS. Is there any way you have that? Because I took a couple of pictures of it on my computer, but I didn't think quick enough to do it with all of them. And that was just sufficient in itself to do it, because that was very clear. Second thing is,
what I'm going to do is, that's an excellent suggestion, Martin, and I've been thinking about this, and that's one of the beautiful things about the DMPS, is that as you repeat it, you start crystallizing. So one of the things I found is that whenever new members join, they're joining in week 3, week 4, is it's hard for them to find all the material because of the way Facebook is structured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to create within one of my websites a membership area where you can go, and it'll basically have like week 1 and the video, and then some resources and PDFs, week 2 in the video, resources week 3, so that anybody that joins in the 3rd, 4th, 5th week can go back and watch it, and you guys will be able, if you're stuck sometime, you can go back and watch it. And I try to accomplish, like there's files that I'm uploading MP3s all the time for people, for the different chapters and the British guy's voice and what have you, and, you know, people just don't want to search for whatever reason, or maybe, you know, they look through the current timeline, and you have to keep going back because we are a busy group. So I said, I can't do it all within Facebook, so I'm going to have to take some of it offline, off to a separate website. And I don't want to make it available to everybody, only the people in the group. So I said, all right, I'll set it up as a membership area. There's no fee. You just basically go in, create a username, add a password, and boom, you'll have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. You'll see the recordings. There might be some additional training material for you. And then the people that pay for this their level will be one step higher, so they'll also be able to access the recording from training calls. So
great idea.
Great suggestion, and I know the video is up there, but I'll be working on that site. So as soon as it's ready, I'll post it to you guys. And I'm probably going to create something so that I know, the training call. I think I'll be getting your emails from, because I'm not going to announce. I'm not going to broadcast the phone number that we're going to use for this Zoom call because I don't want people that didn't pay for it to receive the benefit.
Right, sure.
So what I'm going to do is probably email you guys in a group email the information, and I would appreciate, it's don't give it away for free. You're paying for it. I'm paying for it in terms of time. If you can encourage others that to join the call, and I'll put up the donation button as well. If you can put it up there, that'll be great. I plan on making it the most powerful 1.5 to 2 hours tops. I don't want it to go too much. The attention spans will be gone, but at least an hour to an hour and a half where you will really focus in and get it done so that beyond that call, there won't be any more questions other than you people saying, what do I do? Because now we want to get into the repetitions. Now we want to just start repeating. The more you do, the more repetitions you do, the faster you will get growth. Now, before we go, Teddy, are you still on the line? Ted, are you there? All right. Ted may not be here. He promised me he was going to be here, but he may have blown off. But here's what Ted sent me last night and I'll tell you exactly what time it was. I was until 2:30, 3 o'clock last night. And Ted's like, hey, Bert, what the hell you still doing up? And I put, working. You work at nights? So when the hell you sleep? I said, days, nights, is there a difference? So this is what Ted said. He says, cool, you rock, man. Since starting my DMPS, I got 3 reps, 5 new customers this past month. And my team has gotten 18 new reps and 45 new customers. It's amazing, man. Should I share that in the group for a testimony? This is with me. This is with me even gone for a week on a cruise. So now Ted has an advantage in that I've known Ted, and he reached out to me very early on when I started the group, and I helped him in putting his statement together, gave him additional resources that I haven't exposed the whole group to help him do it. So he didn't just start reading this event. He started reading this as far back as the beginning, as the first day I established the group, because that's when he reached out to me. So we're now on week 4, so I've been doing it for over a month now. And there's another person on here, and I just know that she bounced off. Bonnie is the same way. Bonnie started doing the statement very early on, and this month she is having one of her best months with Beachbody. She's having people approach her about the opportunity instead of her constantly reaching out. And the reason for that is as we become more focused, people see that. If you've ever been around somebody who has complete focus, you can see it by the way they stand, by the way they talk. They're very confident. They're very assured. You'll see it sometimes in politicians. Even those dirty bastards can do it. And they're very confident, very assured. And that's what, if you remember John Kennedy, how charismatic he was, how confident he was in what he was projecting. If you ever listen to the speech on YouTube, where he says, man will be on the moon by 1969, whatever the statement was, if you hear that, you can hear the conviction in his voice. He believed it. He knew that was going to happen. And it did. So it's that certainty, it's that level of belief that we want to get hammered out so that you can start these repetitions. And once you do, you will begin, and I will say this over and over again, and I want you guys to memorize it. It is at that level that you will begin attracting the people if you need the people, the money if you need the money, or the ideas if you need the ideas. Because thoughts are things. And once you know what you want, Edwin Barnes had no idea of how he was going to become the business partner of Thomas Edison. And consequently, he made millions, by the way, but he didn't have any idea. And the opportunity, when it showed up, didn't even look like an opportunity. Edison's salesman did not want to sell this product. And he walked up to Edison and said, I will sell it. And he went out and got an exclusive contract to sell it, and that's how he made his fortune, selling this particular product for Edison. And I forget what it was. I think it was the dictograph. So the idea, the concept, even though if you don't know how you're going to make the money, even if you don't know the exact plan, even if you don't know how you're going to attract the people, even if you don't have enough money, I have a friend who's trying to start a business, and they don't know how to raise the money they need. They needed $50,000, and I gave them a whole bunch of ideas. And then I told them, recently I told them, put it in your DMPS, create a DMPS, put in there that you have the $50,000 you need. And believe me, it will start to happen. It may not happen tomorrow, but it will happen. You can rest assured on that. So I want to leave you with that. Rest assured that it will happen for you. Think of the repetitions as just an exercise, like cardio. If you do cardio, you know that you start with maybe doing 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, then maybe 45 minutes, an hour. And the more cardio you do, the better conditioning you have, the better your heart operates, the more calories you burn. Or if you're into strength training like I am, the more repetitions you do, the more weight you handle, the stronger the muscle comes. Think of the repetitions of the DMPS as just that. It's repetitions. You can't just, you can't get strong doing push-ups by jumping to the ground and doing one push-up. I saw it in the commercial. I thought it was hilarious. You can't just do one push-up and all of a sudden be in shape. You can't just say the DMPS one time and have it work. You can't say it like, it is January 1st, 2016, and I am so happy and grateful now that. That ain't going to work. You might just say, fuck you. Make sure you put passion, excitement, energy into the statement. Now, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, which I'll be happy to answer, but if not, we will end this call. And anybody have any questions, or do I have you guys on mute? *6. Have you guys muted? Okay.
No, we're not muted.
Can someone share some of the things that they've been able to accomplish using this methodology, or some of the bigger long-term things that they feel have sort of manifested through these, affirmations and programming and incantations and things like that?
Sure. I don't know if anybody's been doing it long enough to have a success story beyond these two, but if there's anybody here that's been using some modification of this, perhaps you've been using a vision statement or a goal statement and using repetition or autosuggestion. Is there anybody out there? No. All right. I'll tell you how it worked for me. At age 19, I read Think and Grow Rich. And right after I came out of the military, I went to work for an insurance company, and I was a pension administrating. I was going to college at night, and I was working in the pension administration department for a company called Mutual Benefit Life. And my job was to take the money from the California Teachers Association and put it into a variable mutual fund. And my task was back then to calculate the NAV value, the net asset value of the fund every day at 5 o'clock, and then to deposit the money based on the NAV value. Take like the $10 million and divide it by, $6.53, which was the NAV value, and that would determine how many shares the people were getting into each of their accounts. And one day, by mistake, they gave me the statement of all the deposits for each individual account to do the calculation, and along with it was a check and a commission statement for the agent. And the agent was getting paid 3% for each deposit. So this was a $4 million deposit, and his check was 3% of $4 million, which was $120,000. And I had read Think and Grow Rich, and I had written down, back then I wrote down a money goal, a savings goal, and, I was repeating it every day, following that particular formula. I wasn't doing the self-confidence formula, which was probably a bad idea, but in retrospect. But in any case, I saw it, and I said, wow, I'm making, shit money here, because I want to go to school at night. And look at what this guy's making on one transaction, $120,000. I won't make that for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it was. So right in that moment, I said, I am on the wrong side of the table. I went back and I spoke with my dad because when I got out of the military, I went and lived back and lived with my parents. And I sat with my dad, and my dad said, all of a sudden, I just mentioned it to him. I said, wow, I just saw this agent's commission check, and it was like $120,000. My dad says, wow, that's interesting. 2 days later, I walk in, and my dad introduces me to this gentleman who was there to write my father's auto insurance policy. And his name was Ignacio. And he says, I want you to meet your cousin Ignacio. And I said, so he says, Bert, what do you, he says, come and sit with us. Auto insurance, Dad? Really? I already got a policy. So I sit with him, and he was with Prudential Financial Services. And Ignacio says, so Bert, what do you do? And I says, I'm working for an insurance company, and I went through what I just told you. And I didn't tell him about the commissions. And he says, your dad's been telling me about you, and I think you'd be perfect to come work for us. He said, I can start you off with X amount of dollars, which is more than what you're currently making, and I can promise you if you bust your ass, within a year to 2 years, you can be a sales manager. And I said, holy shit, that I was just thinking of going to Mutual Benefits HR department and find out how I can switch over to the agents department. He says, you don't have to worry about that. And that's how I got involved in financial services. My father just picked up on what I said to him, and I didn't really go into the explanation that I told you. I just said, wow, I just saw a check from an agent, and the guy made more in one transaction that I'll make in 10 or 20 years, or whatever the number was. And I drew that into my life. The first goal I set after that was I set a goal to break $100,000 and to become a sales manager, and it took me exactly 2.5 years to accomplish that. Before I turned 25, I was making over $100,000. My first year, I made $123. My first year as a sales manager, I made $123,000.
Wow!
I set a goal that year. Yeah, and this was just on the verge of turning 25, just before my birthday. I set a goal then as a sales manager with the tutelage of my mentor, Bob Buis, I set a goal to become Prudential had 500 sales managers and 50,000 agents across the country. And if you were in the top 52 of all the sales managers, of all the 500, the top 10%, like 12%, of all the sales managers, you won what's called a company citation. And if you won a company citation, that was the path to become a district manager, which was the next level up. And then you would be running a district with 10 sales managers and 50 or 60 agents and an office staff of 8 people. So Bob says, you need to win a citation. So I said, okay, what do I have to do? He says, you have to work your ass off. Now, I ran into a lot of obstacles because here I am, a 25-year-old kid telling a 50-year-old man, that he needs to work. And I got told right to my face, Bert, there's nothing you can teach me. You're a wet behind-the-ears kid. And so I went back to Bob and I said, here's what they told me. They said they don't want my friggin' help. And he says, well, you know what? Don't work with them. Go work with the young, hungry guys. And that's what I did. My first agent was Don Strauss, and Don was a married guy with a mortgage. And I went to work with him, and his first quarter he broke. He was making $1,800 a week. And his wife was very happy. His wife was very happy. And then I hired another Don, and I went to work with him, and he started him making money. Then I hired Tim Martin, and then what happened is Pete Gately, who was a friend of mine for 6 years, and this is really the most touching story, and I'm sorry if I bother you guys with this, but Pete Gately had been with Prudential for 5 years. We started almost at the same time. I think I was a year or two behind him. But we formed a friendship, and he was a former veteran as well. But Pete was a veteran of the Vietnam War. He was one of the late guys in there. And for 5 years, Pete had struggled. And so Pete asked me, to come to work on my team if I would, swap him out, so to speak. And I said, look, Pete, I'm working hard with the new guys. I said, I'm only looking for guys that want to work. I'm not really looking to work with guys that, have a lot of excuses. And he said, Bert, if you take me on your team, I will work with you. And I really felt bad because Pete was a friend, and I didn't want to do what I have to do as a manager. I have to be, at times I have to be a little bit cold-blooded, so to speak. So I brought him over, and the first thing I did is I went to work with him, and the way you work with Prudential is my job as a sales manager was to go out and work with you. We would go see clients together, and we would call on leads, and we would make phone calls. It was one-on-one training with me. So I did that with Pete, and to make a long story short, that year was the first time that Pete Gately won Regional Business Conference, which was the first conference. There was 2 conferences you could win with credential. One was Regional Business Conference, which means you were earning $75,000 a year or more. The second was the International, and those were for guys making over $150,000 a year. So that first year he qualified for Regional, and this is a guy that was making maybe $35,000, $40,000 prior to that. And to me, it didn't sink in. I was just doing my job. I was just working hard towards my goal. And it wasn't until the Christmas party where his wife came over to me and asked me to dance. And, you know, I'm a slow dancer, but if I drink enough, I'll dance anything, like most guys, right? So on the dance floor, she's like, I want to thank you, Bert, for what you've done for Pete. You know, we just put a down payment on a house, and, you know, things are starting to look up. You know, I'm expecting, you know, I know Pete hasn't told you. I told him not to tell you because I want to tell you. But we are finally able to make a decision to have a baby because now I feel that our future is more secure because Pete is motivated and he's going and he's running and you know, he's doing that DNPS, which I thought was crazy, and, you know, he's shouting it in our yards. Our neighbors think he's nuts. He's out there mowing the lawn, drinking a beer, and shouting his DNPS. And I started cracking up on the dance floor and accidentally stepped on her foot because I was like overtaken with emotion. And I said, look, it wasn't me. It was Pete. I showed him the door, but I didn't have to push him out. You know, he did that himself. And so it's worked for me, and there's other goals I could continue with this. I've been doing this for a long time. But that's the thing that, if you want to talk about juicing you up, that's what juices me up. If one of you guys does something incredible, no matter what level, if it changes your relationship, if it changes your job opportunity, if you achieve a new level of confidence and power, that's what turns me on. It isn't always about money. Sometimes it's just seeing people grow and develop, and maybe that's why I was in management, you know, because I enjoyed that. I enjoyed, you know, seeing Don Strauss, you know, making money, and you know, and Tim Martin was a young kid in it, and I had to fire him because he wouldn't listen to me. But, you know, initially he was willing to work, and it was just a thing with him about his attitude and his limiting beliefs, and he just wouldn't follow the plan. But anyway, that's sales, you know, some will, some won't, so what next? So this has worked in my life, and that's why when I saw that, and I had talked to Yali about doing a group like this, and we were supposed to do it together. And I really had no intentions with all the goals and things I got going on and the projects of doing this group. And it wasn't until I saw this posted in the UPW New Jersey group, and I saw Michael post it, and I messaged him and said, hey, Michael, you know, if you want, we can start the group up. And he didn't respond. I said, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let me start it. So I went and started the group, and, you know, there was already 30 or 40 people that had commented on it. And I said, you know what? Even if it's only 100 people, it'll be worth it. And then as I started doing it, I said, you know what? I'm not going to make it a passive group, you know, because, you know, reading a book and not, you know, and then posting what you read, that's lame. You know, we need to know each other. We need to hear each other's voice. We have to inspire each other. You know, I got that from Yali's group, you know, the morning call and the 100-day challenge. So, you know, I said, let's make this an active group. Let's really learn this shit because it is that powerful. And as I said, there's other goals that I've accomplished. I mean, I got promoted to district manager within 2 years after being a sales manager. I was given the Newark district office, which was the shittiest office in the world, and consequently, I was offered a regional vice president of sales for Northeastern region. And, you know, later on, I formed my own agency, Advanced Financial Concepts Incorporated, which was a financial planning firm. And I've done a whole lot of things beyond that. So I don't want to, you know, this is not about me, but you asked the question. So since there hasn't been enough people on the call who have been doing this, I want you to be aware that this works. And it doesn't just work for me. It worked for Andrew Carnegie, Paul J. Meyer, Og Mandino, W. Clement Stone. The list is endless of the people that have done this. And the difference between the ones that got the results and the ones that haven't is that they applied what's in Chapter 3, faith, and they used what's in Chapter 4, repetition. And then the fifth element, which is really the cherry on the top or the crown on top of the head, mastermind. And we will be discussing that in a few weeks as well. So at this point, we have people dropping off like flies. Not really. We still have pretty much everybody on the call. But I think we've spent enough time on this. Unless anybody has something really important that they need to say or comment on or get off their chest, I'll go ahead and end this call. Anybody have anything they want to add? I guess
Just a big
I'll just add one thing, I guess. Yeah, well, I just wanted to add one thing, I guess. I wanted to thank you for the story you just gave, because honestly, I guess what I learned, because I like to reference Tony Robbins because I learned a lot from him. One thing he says a lot of times is like, people don't, like, when you just tell them something, they don't take it into consideration. But when you tell a story, let's say like the story you just told about the insurance thing, I felt like that penetrated in my subconscious, because I'm like, wow, that happened. So it's like, I get lost in the story, and so like it's able to like kind of like that. I could do the same thing. Man. Like, Bert did that. He helped this person do that. He helped this person do that. This is a real story versus let's say like it can happen to you versus like a real life story. I feel like it's able to like kind of inspire you to do it and just take action on it too.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about, seeing people grow and develop. So I appreciate that. That's really the key, growing yourself and helping others grow. And if one of the things in the statement says, people will help you because of your willingness to help them and yourself. So anyway, at this point, I'm going to end the call and wish you guys a great day. And I encourage you guys to join the workshop, as many of you that can. And also, if you can encourage anybody, friends, or anybody else, even if they're not in the group, tell them to jump on the call. It will definitely be life-changing. Thank you, everybody, for attending on Saturday. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you. Thank you so much.